Studebaker Electric is one of the most fascinating and underrated vehicles in American automotive history. Long before Tesla and modern EVs became popular, Studebaker was already building reliable electric cars that quietly moved through city streets without smoke, noise, or vibration. At a time when gasoline cars were loud, messy, and difficult to operate, the Studebaker Electric offered a smooth, clean, and surprisingly advanced driving experience that was truly ahead of its era. Built by the Studebaker Corporation in the early 1900s, this electric vehicle was introduced during a time when the automotive industry was still experimenting with steam, gasoline, and electric power. Many people don't realize that in the early days of automobiles, electric cars were actually very competitive. In fact, electric vehicles were especially popular among wealthy families and urban drivers because they were simple to operate. There was no hand cranking required, no complicated gear shifting, and no loud engine noise. You simply switched it on and drove away. The Studebaker Electric officially entered production around 1902. At that time, Studebaker was already a well-known company with a strong reputation for building high-quality wagons and carriages. Transitioning into electric automobiles was a natural step for them. Their experience with carriage craftsmanship meant that their electric cars featured elegant wooden bodies, refined interiors, and premium detailing that appealed to upper-class buyers. One of the most impressive things about the Studebaker Electric was its build quality. The vehicle had a sturdy frame and was designed primarily for city use. It was powered by rechargeable batteries that allowed drivers to travel at modest speeds, typically around 20 miles per hour. While that may sound slow today, it was perfectly acceptable for urban transportation in the early 20th century. Roads were not built for high speeds, and traffic was much lighter than today. The interior of the Studebaker Electric was luxurious for its time. Instead of dealing with noisy mechanical components, passengers enjoyed a quiet ride. The seats were comfortable and the controls were relatively simple compared to gasoline cars of the era. Electric cars did not require gear shifting in the traditional sense, which made them much easier to drive, particularly for women and elderly drivers. In fact, electric vehicles were often marketed as the gentleman's car or the lady's car because of their ease of use and cleanliness. Studebaker electric vehicles were especially popular in major American cities like New York and Chicago. Wealthy individuals preferred them for short commutes and social visits. Even Thomas Edison and other notable figures of the era supported electric vehicle technology, believing it had great potential. At one point, electric cars accounted for a significant portion of vehicles on American roads. However, despite its early success, the Studebaker Electric eventually faced serious challenges. The development of better gasoline engines, the invention of the electric starter by Cadillac, and the mass production techniques introduced by Ford made gasoline cars cheaper and more practical for long-distance travel. Gasoline stations became more common, while charging infrastructure for electric cars remained limited. As road networks expanded beyond cities, drivers wanted vehicles that could travel farther without frequent stops. By 1912, Studebaker decided to shift its focus entirely to gasoline-powered vehicles. The company saw greater long-term potential in internal combustion engines and discontinued its electric car line. Although the Studebaker Electric disappeared from production, it left behind an important legacy. It proved that electric vehicles were not a new idea of the 21st century. In fact, they were among the pioneers of the automotive revolution. Today, surviving Studebaker Electric models are extremely rare and highly valuable collector's items. Museums and classic car collectors treasure these vehicles because they represent the early experimentation that shaped the future of transportation. When you look at modern electric vehicles from companies like Tesla, you can trace their roots back more than a century to cars like the Studebaker Electric. What makes the Studebaker Electric truly special is how forward-thinking it was. At a time when technology was still developing rapidly, Studebaker dared to innovate. The company understood the importance of smooth driving, reduced noise, and mechanical simplicity. These are the same qualities modern EV buyers appreciate today. In many ways, history has come full circle. Over 100 years ago, electric vehicles were seen as the clean and sophisticated alternative to gasoline cars. Today, as the world focuses on sustainability and reducing emissions, electric vehicles are once again at the forefront of automotive innovation. The Studebaker Electric stands as proof that great ideas never truly disappear. They simply wait for the right time to return. The story of the Studebaker Electric is not just about a car. It is about innovation, competition, and the evolution of technology. It reminds us that progress is not always a straight line. Sometimes ideas emerge, fade away, and then reappear stronger than ever. This early electric vehicle may not have dominated roads for long, but it played a vital role in shaping the future of mobility. When you think about the origins of electric vehicles, don't just think about modern brands. Remember that over a century, the Studebaker Electric was quietly gliding through city streets, proving that the future of transportation could be electric.